Good morning, good day to you, and welcome to this Facebook Live. And it was supposed to start a few minutes ago, but Facebook and Zoom did not want to work together. And then, the right headphones weren't in the right place. So this is what has to happen now. We switched it around, and Analena and I are ready to talk about parenting. So let's see if this technology works. So gonna add Analena onto this, and let's see if Facebook is willing today. Hi Renee, good morning. There she is, Analena. Hi. Can you hear? Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Hold on, let me just, my phone keeps moving. Okay, it should be fine though.
Gosh darn
Yeah,
technology this
exactly.
morning.
Exactly. Hold on, let me just get it a little bit closer here. Sorry. Exactly, so I can also hold this. Okay, I think we're fine. Hi.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Hi. We're coming to you from Florida and California.
Yes, and we're both from Germany, right?
Yes, and you may or may not know this if you're in this group, but Analena and I met on the internet in another coaching program and found out that we're from the same small German
Yeah,
hometown.
so cool.
And her mom lives like 5 minutes away from where my mom lived until last year.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So funny stuff.
Yeah, small world.
And yeah, and now, and then she introduced me to emotional acceptance, and then she's been training me for being a practitioner, and she is actually a wonderful practitioner and mother herself. She's a coach for coaches, and she is just plain old amazing. And
Yeah.
we both have children and relationships, so this is what we thought was appropriate for today to talk about how the EA, the emotional acceptance, has changed our parenting and our relationships with our partners and ourselves. So, hi Roderick, hi Renee. So good to see you guys here. Roderick is also in Florida, I
Ah,
believe.
yeah, Roderick. Yeah, yes, yes. Hi, Roderick.
Awesome. So, so I thought let's just maybe start with a quick overview of emotional acceptance,
Mhm.
and then we'll talk to you guys about how emotional acceptance has helped us with parenting and relationships and continuously helps us to be better.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I think the majority of people has no idea what emotional acceptance is, right? And I think so often we think, oh, it's just I'm gonna accept my emotions, right? Or like just something in your mind. But emotional acceptance really is a very powerful, probably the most powerful coaching process out there that helps us release our trapped emotions. And why is this so important? So, we all go through life, especially in our childhood, where we face some kind of trauma. And trauma doesn't have to be like heavy abuse. It can be as simple as, you were waiting at school and your parents didn't pick you up, or your mom yelled at you, or, those little kind of things. Or you were being bullied at school, or, you got an F, everybody else got an A, and you felt like shit, right? I mean, this is all some kind of trauma, and it leads to this like fear of never ever never being good enough. That's a very common theme. We have this fear of abandonment, fear of failure, um, and our self-worth. Yeah,
Unworthiness.
unworthiness, a big
Yeah,
one, right? And
that's, yeah.
yeah, so we all have this deep inside, and especially as you mentioned, I'm a coach for coaches, right? So especially in the coaching arena, but also I think with parents and stuff and relationships is all about like we need to be confident, right? And put on a mask and pretend like we got our shit together and we got this. But that works for a moment, that works temporarily maybe, right? But when we put on a mask, we're not being our authentic self, right? And these what happens with this trauma, basically at the time you had this trauma and they created some sadness inside of you, right? Or anger or fear, whatever. But because we have not been learned that it's okay to feel this way, or it's okay to be crying, or all these things. We have been really learning by our parents and society that we always have been suppressing it, right? We have been suppressing how we truly feel. And even sometimes being too happy is not okay, because, well, then other people may feel sad because you're too happy, right? So even both the good and the bad, we have been so learned to keep suppressing it. And what happens when we keep suppressing our true emotions, how we truly feel, we literally build up a wall, like almost you can imagine a wall of steel, a wall of stone, that is blocking you from who you truly are, your true self, which I kind of imagine like you're connected to something greater, divine, God, how the universe, however you want to call it, right? Um, and this is like where you have a sense of knowing, you have this confidence, but from within, right? You don't have to constantly seek out and ask for approval or what I should be doing and these kind of things. You just know what actions to take, and life is more, everything happens with ease and grace, right? And success happens more easily without having to hustle too much and put too much effort into everything. And also, usually, when we are true self and we're really like at a clean slate, so to say, right? Then we also have really thriving relationships, because relationships are supposed to be nourishing and even like help us get the best out of each other. So like that when one and one comes together, it's more than just two. That's how it's supposed to be. But when we have this emotional baggage, as we all know, divorce rates are through the roof. All the majority of kids are in therapy, right? I mean, something is messed up. Something
Yeah.
isn't working.
You and you and I are both divorced too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right. Like I'm not. Yeah, and I mean, I wish I would have had, those kind of tools back then. Um, Not saying that I want to be in a marriage at all. Actually, I'm actually grateful this was part of my life and what I learned from it and how I was able to heal. But the tool that has really helped me to heal from it is emotional acceptance, because I mean, I have tried therapy, all these self-help tools, positive thinking, affirmations, visualization, vision boards, hammering the stuff in, right? And somehow it's like, shit, this doesn't work. It doesn't work. And at least it was very hard. So yeah, then by the grace of God, like I encountered emotional acceptance, and it has really changed everything for me. And again, it's nature's way of helping you release your trapped emotions so that you can actually access your positive emotions, which we naturally have. For example, gratitude, joy, happiness, because we have this all within us. It's just covered by a whole pile, like a huge mountain of this dark negative emotions, right? And you can kind of imagine that when we have night and day, right? And you can imagine that is the good emotions and the bad emotions. Now, if we resist the night, and how do we resist the night? We would say, well, I don't want to sleep. I don't want to accept that it's dark, and I want to fight it, right? So what happens then with the day? Well, you're probably going to have a crappy day. You're going to be really tired, right? And you can't really enjoy the day. It's the same with these negative emotions. When we don't allow ourselves to feel the negative emotions, the sadness, the anger, the fear that we humans have, then we can't fully tap into the positive ones. So the beautiful thing with emotional acceptance is that when we really allow ourselves to let go of these negative trapped emotions and truly feel them like we were intended to, then we can naturally access the positive ones without having to, hammer in positive thinking and those kind of things, because they are very, yeah, it's not even needed. Like you literally, one day, the more you practice this, and of course it does require consistency, the more you practice it, the more you just naturally feel grateful, you feel blissful, and you attract all these beautiful things in your life. Not even knowing why and how this is happening. It's kind of these, um, yeah, almost like you feel like magic is happening all around you, right?
Totally.
So, yeah, that's kind of, what my back's are falling out. This is kind of what this emotional acceptance is in a nutshell. And is that kind of,
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful explanation, and you always find amazing words for it. And what I wanted to add on to this, and I said this in my life yesterday too a little bit, is naturally, and what I've heard from another mother too, naturally, what kids often do, because you were saying it's a natural process. When we don't mess with kids, what they do when they get triggered or when they are having a difficult emotion, they run off into their room, shut their door, and just hang out until it's done.
Yeah.
And I realize that, and we don't need to send them into like timeout or anything, because it's not the point. Parents send children into timeout because we want them to ponder and think about what they did, but they can't like conceptually process a lot of the implications, and they can't see with their brain as far. But what they naturally do is exactly that. It's emotional acceptance. They run to their room, they shut the door, they want to be alone, and they go feel.
Yeah.
And then they come out again and it's
Yeah.
gone. So if we don't mingle and mess with it, it's natural to us to actually do it. But like you said, there's so much stuff that piles on top of it, and we don't get taught how to do it. And so now we are these grown-ups here with like a lot of unhealed child stuff inside of us, and then we have to relearn the most basic things. And sometimes when I work with clients, I feel like, or with myself too, it's like something very, very basic, like eating with a fork, or drinking out of a cup. And it's so natural and it's so basic and it's so simple, yet it's so powerful and necessary. And it's kind of revolutionary that just by going in and talking to our heart, listening to our heart and body and feeling what's going on, we can actually resolve things that have been bothering us for years and years and years, right?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, actually, if is it okay? I would like to say something about the whole. I think we have this whole parenting thing on the kids backwards, right? Because like I said, the majority of kids is probably in therapy. They have ADHD and all these things, right? And we're trying to fix the kids. And I mean, I love
Yeah.
the name of your group apparently, because guess what? So everything that happens in your life, everything that occurs, is a reflection of what's going on inside of yourself. You can imagine it's like back in the days, how in the movie theater, it's like the tape is running on the screen. It's a reflection of your inner self. So if you have lots of fights with your kids and they're not listening or anything, that is because something within of yourself is being triggered by your kids, which actually is a healing opportunity. The universe is literally putting this right in front of you, because this emotion that's trapped inside of you is energy emotion. That's what emotions are. And energy wants to move. And how does it move? By attracting the same vibration on the outside, so it can actually transmute out of your body. And this is your kid. Here you are.
Attracting
Yeah, it's
opportunities.
actually an
Yeah.
opportunity for you. But we think like, oh my God, my kid is not listening, and what the heck is wrong with me? And then we make it worse, right? Because we tell the kids to shut up, or we scream, we, like you say, time out, and then they just actually suppress their emotions, and then they go into life with even more suppressed emotions. So it's a vicious cycle, right? So really what our job is as parents is to be so grateful for our kids, because they are our teachers, they are our healing opportunity. We have them.
They're complete
Yeah,
mirrors.
exactly. And even like with my daughter, for example, like she has traits from my ex-husband. Do I like it? No. But it's a way for me now to, surrender to that and apply emotional acceptance, to let my triggers go through her in a way. So it's a gift in a way. And and anything that, also be okay that there's some parts about my child that I may not like, right? I love her more than anything, right? But also that I don't feel guilty that I have certain feelings about her that I just really don't like. And again, that's on me, because that's something inside of me that I may not like about myself at the end of the day, right? And emotional
Totally.
acceptance just helps you to let this go and have a more loving and more relaxed relationship with your kids. And I see with my daughter, the more I do practice it, the more relaxed she is. And I now invite her, when she has moments where she gets pissed, where she wants to cry, and I tell her like, well, it's okay, cry, let it out, be angry. And she kind of, and then in like a minute, everything is fine, you know? But if I would
Totally.
tell her like, no, don't cry, like, why are you mad? Like, you're just making it stronger, you know?
Yeah. And I think for me, emotional acceptance has definitely, so for me, how I perceive it a lot is like I have a lot of multiple personalities in me from, all the all the subconscious programming that I'm running, there's so many conflicting things
Mm.
in there. Like I love myself and then I'm
Yeah.
unworthy and all that stuff. So the more EA I do, the more I bring those
In harmony.
multiple personalities into the middle and yeah, in harmony, and become more and more just of one congruent
Mm.
person. And like it's been said many times that people are most happy when they think and act and feel in the same way. And so that's what's happening for me, one. And so I think my kids really, really feel that I am not as triggered by them. And so I can hold stronger boundaries in a loving way without having to
Yeah.
yell or project my stuff onto them. And the other thing, and so the connection has deepened so crazily. Like my daughter is 9 now and my son is 6, and my daughter had started this whole, a little bit more distant, not hugging me
Mm.
at school and stuff. We are like, it's a little bit weird maybe to some people, but we are so deeply in love right now, and she's back to hugging and kissing me in
Oh.
public, and people are commenting on it. And it's just also like, she still doesn't always listen because she's 9 and her head is in dreamland, but now I can approach her in a different way, and I can do it with a more like fun, and maybe a lighter approach, and then get to her without causing resistance in her.
Yeah.
Because these children, they can bring up a lot, like they can show us a lot of resistance. They are
Yeah.
strong, like then they can oppose
Yeah.
us, right?
And another thing is also helping us tap into patience more, because I think one of the biggest diseases out
Yeah,
there is that everybody's impatient. And when we're impatient, we resist the current, the now, and all we ever have is the now, right? So we're basically living in the past or the future. We want to be already further ahead. We want to have less issues with our kids. We want things to be better. We want to have a better job at all these things. And kids really help us uh, yeah, learn patience again, because we need patience. Because energetically,
totally.
when you're patient, you open up your receiving channels. When we're impatient, we literally block all the goodness from us, not only in terms of relationships, in terms of finances and everything.
Yeah, it's I think, as soon as we think or wish something were different, or we were elsewhere, or this situation would stop, as soon as that happens, we've closed ourselves off to the current moment, which is where we can access the magic and the healing,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Oh, but yeah, so, and for relationships, what I found, emotional acceptance has helped me with my relationship to myself, so that I can be in better relationship with my partner, but also has helped me immensely when there are issues with my boyfriend, with my partner, and often, through me and my triggers and my programming
Mm,
and my emotional baggage. But in the past, when that happened, it took me out of being present with my kids. Like whatever problem I had with my relationship or with myself, or when I was like rolling in self-pity and victimhood, then I couldn't be there for my
yeah.
kids. Like I did the bare minimum,
Mm,
it wasn't a loving thing. It was just like the minimum: feed them, put them to bed, and just endure the day kind of
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, because you're so
And so now,
emotionally attached to what's going on with your partner, right?
yeah, and didn't have the tool. Now I have the tool. I can have that be what it is and heal it through emotional acceptance. And
Mm,
even if I can't do it right away, I know I can do it later and still be present with my kids now,
yeah,
and don't have to, quote unquote, let that out
yeah.
on them.
Yeah, I
So
love what you say, because the thing is, and I think that's why so many relationships don't end well, is because we trigger the shit out of each other, right? But we take it personal, right? We think, oh, the person said that to hurt me, or things like that. But really, relationships are there to, and of course, there's some relationships that are not meant to, right? And they are very toxic and destructive. And but EA helps you first, like you say, have a better relationship with yourself, like help you with your worthiness. And what I've noticed from my example, for example, I practice a lot more self-care since I have been doing EA, because before it was kind of like a must, but now I just feel like I want to do it. I deserve it, right? I love myself more and more. And then things that happen in relationships with partners and also other family members, um, it's all a huge healing opportunity, because yeah, there's fear of abandonment coming up a lot, fear of rejection and all these kind of things. But always what I realize, it's not about the other person, it's about something that I experienced in my childhood, where I felt neglected by my mom, or abandoned, or somebody stopped talking to me because I spoke up. And so now it sounds kind of weird, but now when I get triggered, I mean, I'm not perfect 100% or anything, but I get kind of excited, like, oh, something, there's another trigger, so another opportunity for me to just let this go. So that,
Yeah.
and then over time, what I've noticed, like, I get triggered less and less and less. The intensity just takes off, and you're just more at peace with yourself, and you're not so susceptible to what's going on in the outside. You just really like are connected with yourself. You have more trust and knowing, and it's really this happiness from within, right? It's not dependent on other people, because really ask yourself, are you in a relationship because you depend on the other person emotionally, how they make you feel? And some people even like to have some kind of emotional pain constantly because it makes them feel alive, right? I mean, there's
Yeah, or it's their idea of love,
yeah,
maybe.
because this is all they know. Like often in abusive relationships, is what usually happens is you get out of one, you get into the next, and the next you repeat the same stuff over and over again, because your brain knows that you survived, even though it was crappy. But your brain always wants to keep you safe, and it wants to keep you where you're at, where you were. So it's very hard to, and that's what emotional acceptance can help you with, to overcome that fear, of breaking from your old self and really tapping into new possibilities, where you may have a relationship where you're being treated like a queen, where you're being respected, and you have a very, very nurturing relationship, and everybody deserves that, right? And yes, EA can
Yeah.
help you with all of that. And yes,
Yeah.
it's
And,
perfect ideal when both people in a partnership are open and receptive to EA. But even if
yeah.
it's,
Even if
yeah,
not, right?
usually, and I think you and I, we have both seen it, is that, and I have with a bunch of clients, is, they just start doing EA by themselves, and they stop trying to fix the other person, and they just get curious about it. They actually, because they notice how you are different, how you're happier, more
Yeah.
content, more grounded, you know.
Yeah. And yeah, and not as triggered as much. And then we can hold up a different kind of mirror for everyone in front of us.
Yeah,
And, not when we don't get triggered, that means everybody else has to deal with their stuff because we're not, as much engaging in useless arguments and
yeah,
stuff. And what you said earlier too about, why are we in a relationship? Are we dependent on someone? And emotional, and I never thought I was a codependent person, or or engaging in codependent behavior, until I read some definitions of it that a therapist friend of mine said. I'm like, holy shit, I'm totally doing codependent
yeah,
behavior. And it's sad to that day when that happens, but like everything, it's like an opportunity. And so definitely once we stop feeding into codependent behavior
mm-hmm.
and start seeing where we have been maybe not perfect and the other person has had to hold it up for us instead of us claiming responsibility for our own mess,
Mm-hmm.
right? Then the other person automatically gets inspired and sees there's a big change shift happening, and this person is bettering themselves, and holy shit, they're doing it. And so everyone in my surroundings has naturally become curious of what I'm doing, or
Mm-hmm.
how of this EA thing,
Yeah, yeah,
and so yeah, my ex-husband now is my had been my first client now,
that's
because,
awesome.
and I'll bring him on here too as a in an interview one time too.
That's cool.
And yeah, it's just fascinating how when you heal yourself, how that affects everyone around you and makes everyone
Mm.
around you willing to work on themselves
Yeah.
because they see it
Yeah,
works, you
and
know?
so often the need to put your kid in therapy or fix them just falls away because again, your life is a reflection of your
Hmm.
inner self. If you fix yourself, every person that's in your life will also they will gradually adjust. And the energy,
Yeah,
because the energy flows over. It's incredible. It
totally.
sounds too good to be true, but we know it's really that amazing. We're not making this up. It's the most powerful
No.
coaching tool out there. And if you have the
Yeah. And it can be
opportunity,
difficult.
yeah, no, but I guess they're all parents here in this group, right? So I really encourage you to get on a call with Alex. You know, we you give gift sessions, right? And it's just
I
because we
do.
want you to experience that. Like, there's no force. If you don't like it, if it doesn't resonate, that's totally cool. But the majority of people, I can tell you, like, once they experience it, like, oh, wow. And then,
Yeah.
you feel it from one session. Just imagine what happens after 3 months of coaching with that. You literally become a new person,
Hmm.
and it is that transformative. It's no joke.
Yeah. It's amazing. And kids are such sponges, you know, they really just reflect whatever is around them. They don't hold their own energy as much
Mm,
yet. So whatever is around them, they play out.
yeah,
So if we're in a grump, if we're down below, sad, they usually take that on. They don't know
yeah,
why. And if we're happy, strong, we can show them a different way. And obviously that will immediately do
yeah,
something with their energy and the
yeah,
connection between
yeah.
child and parent.
Yeah,
So,
and one more thing that I wanted to say is like talking about gifts, right? I mean, we have Christmas come up and things. So we are so into how we need to give my kids gifts and all of this, but that is actually it's stuff from the outside, right? Making your kid maybe feel better. You know what the biggest gift is you can give to your children? Is heal yourself. Because this will pay forward to their future. They will not be that broken person that attracts an abusive relationship because they had a broken childhood, right? I mean, it could be the best investment you ever make. It's literally priceless because I think the biggest concerns of so many parents is that their kids have a screwed up future, right? I think that's one of the biggest worries parents
yeah,
have. So instead of trying to fix them, work on yourself and let that shine to everybody that's in your life. And that's the hugest impact you really can make. It's literally incredible. So that's the biggest
that's
Christmas gift,
beautiful.
birthday present for 10, 25 years you can give to your kids by really working on healing yourself and letting go of
Yeah.
that emotional baggage that has been pulling you back, that has been putting you in a state of struggle and not really being yourself, right? So yeah,
Yeah. And then following up on that is like for kids, the greatest gift that we can give them is really our presence and
yes,
our time, you know? And so once we heal ourselves, that's exactly, even if it's not more time than before, but it's such different quality of presence and
mm,
time that we can give them. And
yeah,
this way we can just make everything deeper, more connected, more memorable, and
yeah,
more
yeah.
loving.
I think there is, I don't know where it's on some kind of parenting research is if we just have 15 minutes a day of really uninterrupted one-on-one time with our kids, like attention, that's enough, right? They don't need
Oh,
this
wow.
like, and again, I don't know, I heard but it may, I think I spoke with one of my other German friends in Florida about it. But we don't even do that. Like sometimes we spend the whole day with our kids and we go crazy and we feel
Yeah, we're
overwhelmed. We're on
on
the
our
freaking
phone.
phones, exactly, or we're hustling, we're doing laundry, and then we get agitated when they oh, you mommy, you want to play school with me? Like, I know it's too much, and those kind of things. But they want to have that freaking attention, and it doesn't have to be 10
Hmm.
hours or something like that. But and I see with my daughter when I do give it to her, then she has time. She just goes in her room and she plays. She's singing. She's happy, and it's like, oh my God, best kid ever. Now lately she started washing the dishes. I didn't ask her for anything. I was like, oh wow, yeah,
Great parenting,
yeah,
Analena.
awesome, right? And I didn't really like try. All I have been doing is EA, right? Like
Hmm. Yeah.
because again, just fixing myself. It wasn't about her trying to fix her. It has been I have been working on myself and being more present with her, just letting her be, allow herself to feel also her emotions. and acknowledge myself how I feel about her, the good and the bad, and that transforms magically. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yay.
So,
Ah, yeah, I think this feels like a good overview over parenting and relationships, right?
yeah,
For EA.
yeah, I think so.
Obviously, if any of you who are watching this have questions for Analena or for me, she's here in the group, so you can ping her
Yeah, I'm
directly.
happy to.
She works with coaches. She also gives gift sessions, and obviously, if you like or love this video, then we'll know if it's helpful to you. And what else? Thanks for watching. And yeah, if you have questions about the gift sessions, let her or me know, and we'll be happy to explain more about that, how that goes. But it's basically just no strings attached, having you experience the magic of EA and how fast it can transform big, big things in you.
Yeah,
And yeah,
awesome.
I think this is it from the two coasts to you.
Exactly, from east to west. Exactly. Yeah,
from
like super happy
from east
to
to
answer
west.
any
Yeah.
questions. And you don't even have to be ready to start doing EA coaching right now. Like you know when you're gonna be ready, right? That's usually how it goes. Yeah, Alex, it was a pleasure, and always good to see you. So
Yeah, thanks for your
you're
time
welcome.
and your
Oh, thank
awesomeness.
you. You too.
And we'll talk soon.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, guys.